I never would have thought that my quiet little town could ever become a dangerous place. But that's exactly what happened when a series of homicides shocked the community. Everyone was on edge, wondering who the twisted killer could be. Little did I know I would soon be involved in the chaos myself. It started on a warm, summer night. I was hanging out with my friends Cassie and Andy, just enjoying the peacefulness of our small town. We were walking through the park and joking around when we heard a loud noise from a nearby alley. Curiosity getting the best of us, we decided to investigate. As we got closer, we saw two figures in a heated argument. One was a tall man with dark hair and piercing blue eyes, while the other was a petite woman with fiery red hair. They seemed to be in a heated argument, but we couldn't quite make out what they were saying. I was about to suggest that we go back to the safety of our homes, but before I could even open my mouth, the man pulled out a knife and started threatening the woman. Cassie gasped in shock, and Andy instinctively stepped forward to intervene. But before any of us could react, the woman, who we later found out was named Geraldine, turned around and pointed the knife at us. She had a wild look in her eyes, and I could sense that she was not of sound mind. "Nobody moves!" she yelled, her voice shaking with anger and fear. We all stood there frozen, not knowing what to do. Geraldine was a known drug addict in town, but she was usually harmless. It was clear that something had triggered her tonight, and we were caught in the middle of it. Geraldine dragged us into the alley, the sharp blade of the knife pressed against Cassie's throat. She was sobbing now, begging for her life. I felt my own tears welling up as I realized just how serious the situation was. Geraldine rambled on about how the town had wronged her and how she was going to make them pay. I couldn't understand her reasoning, but I knew we were in grave danger. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, a voice interrupted us from the entrance of the alley. "You won't get away with this, Geraldine," the voice said sternly. We all turned to see PTP, the local detective, standing there with his gun drawn. I breathed a sigh of relief at the sight of him. As much as I didn't like him, I knew that he would keep us safe. Geraldine began to panic, her grip on the knife tightening. She started moving closer to Cassie, using her as a shield. "Back off, Petey, or I'll kill this girl!" she screamed. But Petey was not one to back down easily. He slowly moved closer, his eyes never leaving Geraldine's. "Think about what you're doing, Geraldine. This won't solve anything," he said calmly, trying to reason with her. But Geraldine was too far gone. She lunged forward, the knife aimed at Petey's throat. In the midst of the chaos, Andy saw an opportunity and stepped forward, trying to grab the knife away from her. The three of them were now engaged in a fight for survival, while Cassie and I watched helplessly, praying that no one would get hurt. Pete and Andy both seemed to be evenly matched, but I could see that Geraldine's mind was not in the right place. She was unpredictable and dangerous. In one swift motion, she managed to stab Andy in the shoulder, causing him to cry out in pain. But that didn't stop him. He kept fighting, determined to protect us. Amidst all the commotion, I saw my chance to try and escape. I slowly began to edge my way towards the exit of the alley, hoping that my friends would follow suit. But just as I was about to make a run for it, I heard a gunshot. I turned around to see Petey on the ground, clutching his arm. He had been shot, and standing over him was Geraldine, her face twisted with an evil smile. She had taken the detective's gun and was now pointing it at us. In that moment, I knew that this was it. We were all about to die at the hands of a mad woman. But Andy, despite his injury, did not give up. He lunged towards her one more time, managing to knock the gun out of her hand. We all watched as the gun skittered away just out of reach. Geraldine let out a scream of frustration and turned to run away, but she didn't get far. Police sirens could be heard in the distance, and she knew that her time was up. With all of her strength, Geraldine tried to flee, but Andy tackled her to the ground. The police arrived just in time to handcuff her and take her into custody. We were all safe. As we were being checked over by paramedics, I couldn't help but thank Andy for his bravery. If it weren't for him, we would have never made it out of that alley alive. That night, as I lay in bed trying to process everything that had happened, I thought about how one moment can change your whole life. One moment, we were carefree teenagers, and the next, we were fighting for our lives. It was a terrifying experience that I would never forget. But amidst all the chaos and danger, I learned something about myself. I had underestimated my own strength and resilience, and I realized that no matter what life throws at me, I have the courage to fight for my survival, just like Andy did that night.